and the West Ham fans was not the best of sight there at the Molineux Stadium yesterday. But head coach Graham Potter has come out to say that they need to come in under unity at this point in time to take the club side forward. So all of this we take a look at on today's edition of the show, including the African Nations Championship going on within 3 nations, and we have the finalists already, and that's Madagascar. Women, the 2023 edition, they finished in the semi-finals, and now in the second edition ever, they are in the finals, and they'll be playing against Morocco, who out the defending champions, Senegal, yesterday. So all of this, we have lined up for you on today's edition of the program. But first, we join our partners, the BBC, to take a listen to what they have for us on the front of English football. Where all of the games that went down yesterday, we take a reaction from those games, and also those who are set to take to action later today. Let's join our partners, the BBC Premier League update.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm Shabnam Yunus-Jewell at the BBC Sports Centre. 7 Premier League sides have been in EFL Cup second round action. 2 of them are out after shock results. Sunderland were beaten 6-5 on penalties by League One Huddersfield, while Leeds were defeated 3-0 on penalties by Sheffield Wednesday. The Championship side prevailed despite ongoing protests over the club's ownership. Wolves came from behind to beat West Ham 3-2, putting more pressure on Hammers boss Graham Potter. He's only won 5 of his 21 matches in charge and came into the game having conceded 8 goals in their opening 2 Premier League games. But he says this game showed improvement in his side.
Well, it's a big step forward, I think, in terms of our performance tonight. Like I said, a lot to be positive about against a good team at home that pushed all the way. We weren't quite able to hold on, but like I said, I think there was lots of positives and a better performance level.
Elsewhere, Burnley beat Derby 2-1 while Brentford won 2-0 at Bournemouth. Bees boss Keith Andrews was pleased to see his players pulling together when it was needed.
It was tough calls going into the Villa game at the weekend. Players that were left out would have been frustrated, and I think it just shows tonight what we have as a club, as a squad, a real togetherness. Really pleased with a lot of the performances tonight. Some of the players coming back from long-term injuries in particular that have been on a tough journey.
And Turkish club Galatasaray are in talks with Tottenham over a loan deal for defensive midfielder Yves Bissouma, who is yet to feature for Spurs this season. The Mali international was left out of the squad to face Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Super Cup this month because of persistent lateness. And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
All right, so there you listen to the BBC Premier League update as regards the games that went down yesterday. But we'll move away from that and also discuss about a bit of European football before we come to the African continent. It is the UEFA Champions League games that went down yesterday. And from the UEFA Champions League games, I told you that Paphos of Cyprus, Bodo Glimt of Norway, and Ǩariyat Almaty, these sides they made it into the next round. That's the league phase of this year's UEFA Champions League. Only founded 11 years ago, Paphos of Cyprus secured a late 1-1 draw with Red Star Belgrade to seal a 3-2 aggregate victory. And for Bodo Glimt, they advanced to the league phase with a 6-2 aggregate win over Austrian side Sturm despite a 2-1 defeat yesterday. For Ǩariyat Almaty, they've defeated Celtic of Scotland on penalties. And we take a listen to the words of Brendan Rodgers, the head coach of Celtic Football Club, at this point in time, speaking about their defeat yesterday and, of course, wanting to get better as a team. Remember last week, that's in the first leg of the game between for Rangers also and Club Brugge. For Rangers, they lost that game. And this is another Scottish side not making it into the league phase of the UEFA Champions League. Let's take a listen to the words of Brendan Rodgers.
Just a shame, because last year we made some great strides. I've said before, we had a hint of what we could do at the level, and with the greatest respect, this was a great opportunity for us to be back there. But sadly, we won't be. So plenty of endeavour, plenty of honesty, but the Champions League is a wee bit more than that.
Fans, we wondering why Celtic, with the resources they have, went into these ties that are so crucial, so ill-prepared and under-resourced. Is there an answer to the why? Because people can't fathom it, I don't think.
No, listen, I always think that investment is great, but it has to be a timely investment. You know, investment to in whatever it is you're doing, it has to be all at the right time. So, but yeah, I think at this moment in time, it's like you say, it's a little bit raw. We've just lost the game, and like I say, this group of players have given everything. You know, we limit it to what we could do in the game in moments, but like I said, they gave everything. We just couldn't find enough good moments and moments of quality to break through, Michael. And like I say, we have to accept that.
All right, today listen to the words of Brendan Rodgers. Quality is in the team. The players, they've given their all, but investment needs to be top-notch. Quality investment. Now, as Celtic, they are out of this year's UEFA Champions League. We are set to have 4 debutants at this year's edition of the UEFA Champions League. And then for the 4 debutants, Paphos of Cyprus, Bodo Glimt, Kairat Almaty, and Union Saint-Gilloise. That's a club side of Victor Boniface, his former club side. But then actions are set to continue today also in the UEFA Champions League, where Karabag will be up against Ferencváros, Benfica against Benfica. The first leg ended 1-1. Club Brugge will be up against the Rangers, and 𝐾𝐈𝐒 will be up against Basel. That's in the UEFA Champions League qualification games. We move away from that also and talk about football on the continent, where it is all about Madagascar, who booked their place in a historic first that African Nations Championship final after Agent Sudan 1-0 in the 10th semi-final at the Benjamin Mkapa National Stadium in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. It was a late strike by its substitute, Toki Rakotandrabe, in the 116th minute, and that proved so decisive. I'm still talking about results from the African continent. Yes, I tell you that Morocco defeated Ouders, that's Senegal, on penalty shootout, 5-3, following a 1-1 draw after extra time at the Nelson Mandela National Stadium in Kampala last night. The Atlas Lions, talking about Morocco winners in 2018 and 2020, will now face Madagascar in Saturday's final in Nairobi, Kenya, after the island nation defeated Sudan earlier in the day. So in the third place game, we would have Senegal. They will be up against of course, for Senegal, they will be up against Sudan in the third place game. That's talking about the African Nations Championship. All right, so let's leave that and talk about some other sporting stories at this point in time. And it's all about the US Open, where for Italian, that's Yannick Sinner, the defending champion. He won a 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 over world number 89, Vitor Kopriva. Nearly just 1 hour and 38 minutes to advance into the next round. That's at the third round. And he's set to face Alexia Popyrin in the third round. But talking about some other updates from the world of the US Open, 24-year-old from Poland, Iga Swiatek, also defeated Colombia's Milena Arango 6-1, 6-2, and in the own encounter. And then for Iga Swiatek, she broke Monica Seal's record for most consecutive opening matches won in the Open era. And Saturday, Fonseca will be up against Marc Casper Ruud, also will be in action. So you talk about the women's game as well. Emma Navarro will be in action. Emma Raducanu will be in action. Victoria Azarenka will be in action against Pavlyuchenkova. Barbara Krejcikova also will be in action. Elena Rybakina would be in action. Belidan Bencic will be in action. And then we have Marketa Vondrousova. All of these ones will be in action later today in the course of the US Open games going on presently. And then moving on, definitely we talk about the Diamond League, where the 2025 Diamond League finals are here and the top athletes in the world are heading to Zurich. And then while several of the biggest names in track are waiting for the 2025 World Championship in Tokyo, several are also taken to the track at the 2025 Diamond League Championship meet in Zurich, which is set to begin in an hour from now. That's from the 27th to the 28th of August. And the top finishers in their respective events will earn entries to the 2025 World Championships, and several already hold entries but are looking to add a Diamond League title to their resumes. So we'll come later in the afternoon to talk about updates from the Diamond League actions, definitely. So this is how far we can go on today's edition of the show. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. As you do, enjoy the rest of the day, and bye for now.